can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
I'm Jim Rosetti, co-host of the Integrity Investing podcast series. And as the song says, I can see clearly now. And as we explore the two entirely different worlds of investing, default versus scientific, you will see clearly which are the two worlds that you're living in right now. This series of podcasts will open your eyes and enable you to enjoy real peace of mind, as well as clearly understand your true purpose for money, and to empower and equip you and your family to live the life you love and deserve. And now, here's your host of Integrity Investing, author, entrepreneur, CEO of Veritas Investment Services, certified financial educator, financial coach, and host of this podcast series, Margaret Wittkopp. Once again, we're talking the two worlds of investing as we have been describing it. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I just finished the 2-day event that was held virtually, and that came from your company. I had a great opportunity to go over and see it on a screen in your offices, which is great. People don't have to do that if they decide to go to this. They can do it right from the comfort of their homes. But it was just, so a lot of things are going around in my mind about the world of investing. And I'm calling it the worlds because I'm separating the two worlds.
Here we are again, trying to help investors find some peace of mind, try to help them get on their way and part of that is getting them educated around the world of investing and what it means. And there are two different worlds. Yep. One that they're kind of pre-programmed into, it just is the world they think of investing, which is what you get out of the TV, most advisors, brokerage firms, all of that is just sort of set in place. It's what we call the default investment world, or it's the world that we find when you just go out to the typical investment firm and you're just kind of caught up in this whole world of predictions and having to try to figure out what to do with your money, and it gets confusing. Mm-hmm. So we do a 2-day seminar that helps people learn how to differentiate between what real investing is, using the science of investing and knowing that really you can do it without speculating and gambling. That's one world, a world they most often do not know anything about. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to try to give people an insight into that. In that 2-day seminar you just took, they really get a deep dive into the mechanics of it and their own behavior. There's two parts of the science. One is the construction of portfolios so that you achieve the maximum amount of return for the amount of risk you're going to take. Okay, so that's one part of it. How to create a good portfolio, a good investment that won't fall apart on you. Yeah, achieves your objectives and all that. Okay, so there's that. And then there's the behavioral side, right? That's the second part of the science. So go ahead. Mm-hmm. What did you get out of that event?
Well, the thing that was noted, and it just, I guess we know it, but sometimes we don't know it. It's that the unpredictability of the market, the randomness, the volatile markets. And so nobody's able to predict what's going to happen.
That's one of the interesting things about that world of predictions is that, people go into the world of investing thinking they need a prediction, or they
Yeah.
need a guru who can tell them what the prediction should be, or, some kind of prognosticator, hopefully not a con, but, they get swept away by con people.
Yeah.
Really, people if they're out there, they're all over. So
Oh,
we
sure they are.
try to
Sure.
prepare people
Yeah.
to know what are the signs. What are the telltale signs that you're not in the right place and you shouldn't be
Right.
talking to this person? Turn around and run, kind of thing. So that's part of what that 2-day event is about. It's to, really arm people with the knowledge they need to have, and it's not really a tough knowledge. It's just basic stuff to keep them safe in a world of volatility. But one of the things that I really work at in my practice and with my relationships and my clients is how to look at volatility as your friend. It's not your foe. And when you have an engineered portfolio, I mean, truly engineered, just like you would, or like an architect who built a beautiful building, right? And depending on what the use of that building is going to determine the architecture, right? And it's going to be very well designed. It's not going to fall apart at the first wind that blows.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's engineered. But in the markets, they are very fluid. Money flows. It flows to, based on what people are thinking about it, based on, just things that you can't even predict. Now, if you rebalance your portfolio, here's the anecdote. The anecdote is that you rebalance because you do have a design. If something's out of whack, you can now take what's relatively too high, put it where it's low, so that over time you actually benefit from the volatility in the market in time. Now, all of this is predicated that you have created a portfolio that is designed, has a real specific design. So now we can measure those things, right? We can measure how much should be in every category in our asset class. And when it's out of whack, we can put it back together. We can take some of the cash and put it into where it needs to go.
Yeah,
there was a good example of that in the event where we show how in 2007, 2008, fixed income did really well for a year, and your tendency, now here's the human behavior part of it. The tendency is that you want to put all your money over there. Oh, let's go to that fixed income, put it in cash. Let's do that. And what happened the next year? Small caps were like up through the roof. 40% up. So it was exactly, to do what you felt like doing was exactly the wrong thing. So if you have a design and you know that you're supposed to have so much here, so much there, so much there in various asset classes, now you can fill in the gaps, take advantage of the market being low in a certain area, and keep your risk reward construction in alignment with your goals, and your portfolio won't fall apart.
Yeah, they pointed that out so well, and it was, that event is so, it just, it's an aha moment almost throughout that event, many places, and sometimes I've been through these before, and it only gets better every time I go through them. Just small tweaks from time to time, but it is so informative, and it gives you such a
it's designed to do that. It's it's really a well-designed program, and very grateful to be able to present it. It's work that we have been in for quite some time. We've been working towards being presenters of this very it's a very meaningful and transformational. Basically, the intent is to transform the investor's experience.
Oh, yes, it can do that. Yeah,
from the world of predictions the world they came to by default. That's why we call it that, and now they have an option of seeing a whole new way of looking at the world of investing from a scientific method, based on academic research, based on empirically tested academic principles. And once you get that, you can take. I had at that particular one, we had a young woman who said, "Oh, she wasn't interested in coming." Her husband said, "Oh, she's not going to want to come." But her reaction, oftentimes we'll hear that, not just from women, sometimes the guy. It has nothing to do with your sex. It has to do with, who takes care of what in the household, maybe. I don't know. But sometimes people have that reaction. They just don't want to be bothered.
They make it so easy to understand that it isn't. That's exactly what I saw.
Totally blown away. She said it wasn't anything she thought it was going to be like.
People that were there thought they would not get as much out of it, and it was amazing as we took breaks, and they just said, "Wow, I'm so glad I came to this." One of the things I got to tell you, Margaret, is they ran a little clip of one of the TV investment talk shows, the talking heads, the pundits, that kind of thing.
I think
so. I went out and tuned in one of the investment shows over that weekend, and I counted the number of predictions that were made by the guests and the hosts on that talk show, and it was like they had insight into the market. They were able to read the future. And it was
at
all.
Least they like you to believe that, right?
Well, that's right. That I could see where people are going to believe that and buy into that when they see these prognosticators start to blow. They're supposedly experts in this field, but they can't read the future as much as they sound like they can. It's not possible.
Well, if you listen to the words they use, they'll use words that even use the word prediction.
Yes.
They'll even use, I think it does, based on blah, blah, blah. It's not, they don't really predict anything.
But and if people don't hear those words, those little helpers.
Well, you're right. That's the problem with it. It's very misleading because they present it like it's fact when in fact it's not.
Yeah, it's kind of like sound bites. You're buying into the sound bite. That's right.
Well, and if you really listen carefully, oftentimes what you might hear is that these talking heads on TV will contradict themselves within minutes. They'll say something over here, and then 2 minutes later, they're saying almost exactly the opposite. Just to cover their bases. Yeah, if you listen carefully. And don't just sit there glibly, not just sort of taking in like it's truth. It's not truth. It's just somebody's idea, and it's meant to sell products, TV ads, whatever. You got to know the source. So if you really, actually, your investment life should be very boring. Now, very boring wouldn't sell much TV time, right? Airtime would.
That's right.
Nobody be watching. Right. So in order to get rich, in order to get your eyeballs on the TV set, or pick up that magazine, or whatever, make a subscription,
Well, that's it. They had a panel group, and they were all jumping in. Each one had a little bit of input into the whole thing. So, and if you're listening with a kind of a casual listening ear, you might not catch that they're saying could go this way or would possibly. You just what they're predicting. I should jump over here, or I should go over there. It sounded like they were directing
Forbes. Me. Steve Forbes, the.
Oh yes.
I don't know what his he Forbes
Fortune magazine I think is
it Fortune or Forbes?
Forbes. At any rate. It is Forbes, yes.
Yep. Yeah. And he made a comment once that it's a good thing that investors, I think I'm paraphrasing him, but it's a good thing investors have a short memory, because That's how he sells his magazines. He's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. I like Steve Forbes. In a lot of ways, he's a good, strong,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Fella. He's got some good ideas and all that. But he even laughs at the people who read his magazine. If you take your advice from a magazine, well, God help you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes. And but they're there not only to to say what they say, but they're there to kind of entertain you a little bit too. It's a little theatrics going on. So and that's what I think.
Term coined for that, Jim. It's called investainment. It's entertainment.
Yeah, I like that term.
Investainment. So all of this describes the world that people are kind of caught up in and what they see. And for some people, it gets so just noisy. They have no interest in all those predictions. They don't want to think. It's too confusing. Let's just put it. It's too confusing for them to really think about. So what happens is they turn it off. Mm-hmm. They don't want to think about it, so they turn it off. And that's really dangerous too. They take a really passive attitude towards their investments. They sign up for their 401k. They don't know what to put their money in. So they look at past performance. Past performance has nothing to do with the future. So they get misled by track record investing, or they just put it in the default, target such and such. They call these target date funds, often very poorly. We've done a lot of research analysis, not really research analysis of the default, these target date funds. And the problem with them is that the company doesn't really disclose all the inner workings of them. There's no design to them in that you can, at least none that match up with the academic principles. Right. So, people are really misled by that. So they just do it. They just, so getting back to where the investor often, if this describes your attitude, or, people hopefully that are watching this podcast will get, something from that they will, take a little more interest in learning about what really makes for a good investment. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things, getting back to that track record investing, and that is such an important point. One of the things, a metaphor that I thought about, that because there was a big sports weekend going on last weekend, and I saw you got two teams that are going to meet on the field and battle it out to win a football game, and the talking heads all pick a winner before the game is played, right? Oh, such and such a team did so well in the regular season, they're going to go into this and just shellac the other team. And what's amazing is I love it when they say that, because usually the outcome of the game is the other team that was really, not supposed to perform well wins the game. It's an upset. And I thought of the market. I thought, how does that relate so much? You got talking heads before the game. They do these little pre-sports shows, and it reminded me of that kind of conversation. Here we are predicting winners, and they're not. They're just guessing, and people should realize they're guessing. But a lot of people base a bet on that. So that's how people can get misled into buying into. So I just thought it reminded me a little
analogy for what goes on in the investment world. Absolutely. Some advisor pulls out the Morningstar ratings and shows you a 5-star or 4-star report and blah. It's a lot of wah, 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 that old Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
That's the way you should hear it. But what happens is people actually buy into it because they have nothing else to fall back on. They have nothing to base their own decisions on.
Right.
So by offering people an entrance, some understanding of how markets work, understanding what diversification really means. I often hear people use the phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I know I'm not supposed to put all my eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
That
an old cliche.
It's an old cliche. But there's some truth to it.
There is. Yeah.
But here's it's the phrase itself refers to diversification. What happens is people think in terms of, well, I should put a little money with this advisor, a little money with that advisor. No, that is not what that phrase is intended to mean. It's a misuse of that phrase.
Yeah, more stuff. More stuff.
More stuff, randomly,
Random,
I should put some money in an annuity. I'll put some money on that thing, blah, 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 Okay. Yeah. So having said that, what does true diversification look like? And I'm going to give you a really simple way to think about diversification. Mm-hmm. It's like I was talking about an engineered portfolio, right? A recipe, if you would. There's a design to it. So you have specific asset classes that you want to put in your portfolio, and you have stuff you don't want in your portfolio because it makes no sense. Okay? So we eliminate what we don't want, and we only include what we do want in the right amounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the right stuff in the right amounts, not just any old stuff at any old amounts, any old where. It has nothing to do with putting your money. It's like having CDs or certificates of deposits that you get at a bank. Oh, I've got CDs at Bank First. I got CDs at another bank or a Bank of America. I've got CDs over here. That's not diversification.
Or a little bit of gold in there too, some precious metals to sweeten up the little mix. But in the 2-day event, that was presented so well that you really understood that. I can understand exactly what you're saying right now.
Yeah,
because they showed us exactly, and it was just, it's fresh in my mind. I love seeing that. So there, I get that.
Just to go back to this recipe analogy or this idea of engineering, there are 3 basic building blocks. 3 basic building blocks of creating that portfolio, whatever it is. And the first one is efficient market hypothesis. Okay? Efficient market hypothesis basically states that all the information that about a security is already in it. Is already in the price. That only new and unknowable information will change the price. So the price is the price. No one can predict what's going to happen in the future. We talked about that before. So the efficient market hypothesis, another piece of that, or another building block, is the 3-factor model. So how do you take these pieces and put them together in a meaningful way? I like to use the analogy of baking cookies, I need salt and sugar and flour, and I need some butter, and I need some salt in there, and I need some vanilla in there. Okay. So I'm going to make my cookie. Am I going to put a cup of salt and a teaspoon of flour? That wouldn't be a very good cookie. Is that what I'm getting at?
Yes, I do.
You got to have the right ingredients, and then you have to have them in the right amounts. And I certainly wouldn't want to leave out the vanilla. If I leave the vanilla out, it's not a very tasty cookie.
Yeah. Anything that's omitted.
Yeah. A pile of logs in my yard does not make a house. I have to know how to put the house together. A bunch of lumber does not. An architect, you need an architect, and you need the carpenter, and you need all the infrastructure, and it has to be designed properly. Hopefully those analogies try to help people understand that the market is similar. And what came out of the science of investing, which basically is in the time frame of the world of investing is relatively recent. I mean, that really only comes out of the 1970s. Eugene Fama, Kenneth French, Harry Markowitz back in the 1950s. Modern portfolio theory, that's another building block. How do you get the maximum amount of return? Reduce the amount of volatility and get for the maximum amount of return for the amount of volatility that you can get. And then you can measure those things and actually keep your portfolio in alignment. Then you know you're successful. Then you
those two gentlemen you mentioned are both Nobel Prize winners and laureates, Nobel laureates, I think is the terminology they
Nobel
use.
Prize winning academic principles. Not only are they that, because sometimes people get Nobel Prizes for work that isn't verified, but this work that we're talking about actually has been put to the test. And people's real money, my money, investors' real money has been put into portfolios based on these scientific principles, and they have shown themselves to be strong, flexible, reliable. They've proven to work, and that's why we say it's empirically tested. It's been shown that through the test of time, this methodology actually creates a way of investing that you eliminate predictions, eliminate speculating, gambling.
If you are curious to learn more about modern portfolio theory, give Veritas Financial Services a call. Thank you for watching.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright